Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Victoria Ayodele Fash. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for joining me. If you're a return subscriber, you know I love you, you know I appreciate you. Thank you for always coming back again. Okay, so hi guys, we are back again. We'll be continuing. We didn't go anywhere, so we are still in the same spot. So we'll be continuing from where we ended in the last video. So if you have not watched that, please go back and watch that. All right, baby, you were saying?
Okay, there's something that occurred to me, that even as a believer, temptation abounds, and there are two things to resisting temptation, at least from what I think I know. One of it is, if you don't want to be tempted by food when you go out, you'd have eaten at home.
Yeah,
that's one way to fight temptation. The other aspect is discipline. But it's a lot more difficult to be disciplined when you are starved. It's a lot easier to avoid certain kind of temptation if you are satisfied. Even the Bible said it when it was prophesying about Jesus Christ. He said, butter and honey shall he eat, that he may learn to distinguish good from evil. So when you do not take the effort to learn what you need to learn in order to satisfy your partner, you're setting either yourself up or your partner. When you are not satisfied, your partner is not satisfied. If you are spiritual enough, or God helps you and you can fight temptation, are you sure you're not setting up your partner for trouble? So it's not only about the satisfying yourself, it's also about preventing yourself from being prone to that kind of attack. I think I went too deep.
Okay, thanks babe. So yes, I think we've answered that question. I mean, God created it. He created it for our enjoyment.
Yes.
So there's no shame, there's no shame. The Bible says that, you know, in the beginning when God created man and woman, it says he created the two of them and they were in the garden. They were both naked and they were not ashamed, because that's the way it is supposed to be with God's appointed partner for you. It is when sin came into the picture that they started to sew things to be able to cover their nakedness. And when God came and asked Adam, where are you? The first thing he said is that we were naked, so we hid from you. And God asked him, who told you were naked? It is sin. It is the devil that perverts, you know, God's original plan for sex. That's why shame came into it. But when you are married, and I said this in my last video, that scripture that says that marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled. It took a while for me to understand what that scripture meant. But when Papa said it that day, like, I was surprised. Like, wow, I've been a Christian for a long time, but I always thought that the bed undefiled means that don't defile your bed before you get married. That's what I always thought that it was. And I think that's part of the meaning. But I also think that the bed in marriage undefiled means that bed, there is nothing you can do on that bed that will defile it. As long as it's the two of you, you are making love to yourself or whatever, in the confines of marriage, not necessarily the bed. I mean, if you don't have a bed in your house and it's the ground that you are doing it, it's not necessarily the bed, you understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, marriage is honorable. Whatever you do in the confine, it's metaphorical. No, whatever you do in the confine of marriage, when it comes to intimacy, it is honorable, it is undefiled. So there is no sin, there is no shame in it. That is the word of God. So I don't think that you should go and preach and then feel guilty to come and sleep with your wife. Please, if you have that thought inside of you, please rebuke it, because God is the creator of man. He gave us the organs, he gave us the urges, and he knows that we need to do something about it. And that's why he created a confine for it, which is marriage, so that we will not start to run wild. Like some people are running wild, in the world, you understand? So yes, I think we should go on to the next question. It's also a recording. I think his next question was talking about, so yes, and I think this is where it gets deeper, when he's talking about he watched my video, he watched another video of Pastor Okonkwo. I also watched that video and talk about oral sex and sex toy and the rest of other unspeakable things. That's actually a really good sermon. I actually enjoyed watching it. So he talked about that sermon. He talked about listening to mine and going there to listen to him, and because of that, you understand, he had an incline to go and learn more, which is again what we're talking about, information, the kind of information that is out there on intimacy. The worldly information is way more than the Christian or the right information, right? So he said he went to Google to go and research, and remember, this is a brother that's so trusting God, is a believer, because he actually mentioned that he went there, he watched the video, he went online to search for, sex education for teenager. He said it started from teenagers, and then there were a lot of talks and all of that. But he thought, oh, this is too basic, so let him search for sex education for youth, or for youths up NEPA, for youths. And he said the kind of recommendation that Google gave him, the kind of video he watched, that he was so ashamed of himself after he finished, to the extent that he that usually wake up, and this is his words, every morning, and he will say, God, this was that now, it's okay now. I usually wake up in the morning to sing, oh God, we worship you, to worship God's name. He woke up and all he could say was, God have mercy, God have mercy, God have mercy, because of the kind of information that he was exposed to in his innocent attempt to go and look for genuine information that would help him, in getting or in seeking or in seeking knowledge. You understand? So so then he sent me a message that, so don't you think, and he was referring to the videos I was doing, that don't you think that videos like this is only going to cause people to sin more, right? Which was his rationale. Remember I told you that he had his reason for asking that, is it necessary for us to be doing videos like that? And I think my response to him was that yes, it is necessary. And the main reason that you had that encounter is one of the reasons why we need to have more content that are pure, more content that are coming from a place of honesty and sincerity about what intimacy is actually about. This is why we should be having it, because the information out there are not accurate. They will cause you to sin. They will cause you to have desires that are not even right. They will give you a mindset that this is what intimacy is, only for you to get there and realize that this is not what it is. Or for you to get into marriage, worse thing that would not happen is that you get into marriage expecting your partner to be able to do what you have seen those people doing, not knowing that those people are on steroids. They are acting. They are not doing. They are not. You understand? Expecting your to do all the 50. Is there how many side they say is in the Kama Sutra? What they call?
I have no idea.
Yeah, are you sure?
Very sure.
They will tell you that you should do all the 59 steps. You're expecting a child of God that does not know anything. That the two of you are growing in faith to come and you understand, because of the kind of information you've been exposed to. And those things are not necessarily true. They're not really what intimacy is about. So you understand? So I told him that this encounter you had, so many people have had it. I have had it, to be honest. You understand? And then you get it, you're like, so what's happening? I start to have lustful thoughts and everything. But the essence of information like this is to open your eyes to the reality, so that when you get there, you know what to do without necessarily going to look for information from things that will end up perversing your mind and corrupting your marriage. So that was my a summary of my thoughts to him. But since we have a special guest and professor on the case on the what do you think, babe?
I think that what he experienced is one, like you said, is the primary reasons why these content or videos like these are made, and they are quite necessary, especially for Christians, for believers, and all that. Echoing what you have said, the right kind of information is important, and if not, there is room for distortion, like you may have experienced now. There's room for misrepresentation of the details. I mean, I'm a curious person, and I do a lot of reading, and I think it was something I started as a young child. So I was reading powerful books. I mean, even novels, advanced novels, in my primary school. So by the time I was in secondary school, I remember before I was in JS3, I had read all the novels in my school library, all. So at that time, I needed more. I needed more information, and I started reading all sorts of materials about this. And trust me, it created a wrong idea and impression in my mind. I mean, for years, I thought I understood what it was all about, but I just didn't. I mean, whatever information I had or I had amassed it's just a part, a dimension of the whole picture as it's meant to be. And this is why it's important that young believers should know the kind of information they can find out, which is something I think I mentioned earlier. I don't know if it was in the other video now, that the information required per age, per exposure, per stage, it's in different grades and different dimensions. So for someone like him now, who from the information is supplied is not yet within, about to get married and all that, he's still in his early 20s, and he was just trying to look for information. Then if you must find information about human body as it relates to that content. So the male body, the responses and the stimulus and all that, the same way for the female body in a purely biology, I think medical materials that examines this thing in that way. Now, if you need to, by the time you're getting ready to get married, there's different set of information that you need. Just like when you're making a research for something, focus on what you're looking for, not the all surrounding, because Google will give you everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is now left for you. So
now see this.
So that's one of the reasons why we need contents like this, discussions like this, to help believers in order to supply the right kind of information. And I think another important part is, as a young believer, you need accountability partners. And the reason I'm talking about accountability partners is because I know that this thing is a sensitive thing. So sometimes you don't want to talk about your feeling publicly. But at least your accountability partner, both of you can talk about what you're going through, your experiences, your fears, your reservations, and together hold each other accountable, together teach each other. I mean, you may know more about certain things than the person and all that. You can pray together when it looks like you're confused and ask for direction from the Holy Spirit about some things. But bottling it up, or not talking about them, or not trying to find, and because I will not deny that sometimes you just need that information, and you can't just ignore it. And that's what leads to maybe looking for materials in the internet or in movies or in songs and all that. But so as long as the urge will be there, the need to understand what is happening to you, as long as those things are there, then it's important that there's someone you can relate them with, at least in a way that will build both of you up, in a way that will edify both of you. So it's necessary. One
thing that came to mind when we were talking about is about one story I heard. One of my pastor was Pastor Yomi was telling us about this couple who, they were so scared. They were actually close to their marriage, close to their wedding date, but I don't know what happened. I think they got exposed to stuff, that they were not supposed to get exposed to, and they wanted to hold vigils. Pastors will tell you that you should hold vigils before your wedding and all of those things. And they wanted to hold vigils, but they were afraid of doing it in their house because they were afraid that something might happen. So they went to church and they did it on the altar of God. Wow. So it actually happened. It's a real life story. They actually did it on the altar of God. So that's to let you know that this urge it can literally cause you to do things and look at the story of this guy that I was talking about, the guy that sent out the story, how disgusting and how bad it felt. One thing I need to make you understand is that, see, if you watch a romance movie or you see, two people doing it and your body does not respond, you need to go to the hospital, Something is definitely wrong with you. Something is wrong with you, all right? Something is wrong with you, It is normal that when you see something that is supposed to arouse you, that your body will respond. That is normal. God created you like that. That thing in itself, which is what I told the guy, is not a sin. The fact that I saw something and my body responded is not a sin. The problem comes when I start to dwell on it. And that's why I said, okay, fine, you went to look for information in the wrong place, which is why we are creating content like, which is, my husband has said all of that, for you to be able to have the right information without going to being forced to go and go to contents that would not edify you or edify your marriage or do your marriage any good, or would do you temporary good and a permanent damage in your marriage. You understand? And that's why we have contents like this. But if for any reason you will, like I said, sex is everywhere. You see it in movies, you see it in music videos, you see it in cartoons, you see it in books, you see it everywhere in magazines. There's almost nowhere you can turn to today that you will not see it there. So when you see it, yes, your body will respond, but what do you do after that? That's what is most important. As a Christian, if you're exposed to those things, do you dwell on it? Do you allow your mind to dwell on it? You're like, was that what you say? Can he there bad though? Look, how can he be? Maybe bad. You are watching it. You're saying it's bad. The Bible says flee. When the Bible was talking about sin and every other thing, he was saying, oh, resist the devil, or you say, oh, don't harm your neighbor and everything. But when it comes to the issue of sexual immorality, he said what? He said flee, run away. Because the moment there is a ghetto in your mind, that's how it starts. That's how some of us grew, because it's one exposure. Then you want to know more. You want to know more, and before you know what is inside, before you know what's happening, you've been trapped inside, and you don't know your way out anymore. That is how pornography addiction starts. It starts from one video. Sometimes it's not even porn that they are exposed to. It might be a romance novel or a romance content or stuff, and you want to learn more, and you keep going to the wrong sources. If you want to learn more, like my husband say, get accountability partner, get married couples, get people that can actually tell you the truth without taking your mind in another way. You understand? So get people that you can actually talk to. Get videos like this that will actually tell you what you need to know. You understand? Without going to see things that will end up doing a permanent damage in your head, and every time that you cannot pray to God because guilt and shame, because that's what it does. You understand? I said it in one.
Yeah,
sorry,
I wanted to say, sorry for interrupting, that the damage is even two. One is the immediate damage, the other one is the future damage.
Yeah.
How do I mean? The initial damage is that it affects your prayer life, it affects your relationship with God, and all that. It brings guilt. It makes it difficult to access God the way you should. That's the first one. The second one is it creates a image in your mind that can affect your relationship when you get married.
Yeah.
You start to expect things to happen in certain ways because that's all the information you have. So you think that it happens. I mean, a lot of us that read books with seen movies that gave us certain impression. And then when you get involved physically, you can start to feel like you're missing out.
Yeah.
Because what the information you had as painted in your head is a lot different.
I actually had a friend tell me that recently, that she was so eager, this is not even a friend, this is more like an acquaintance. So like she was so eager to do it and everything because of some of the things that she has seen and read, and she felt like, oh, she should experience it. And she eventually did it, and she was like, is this it?
What's all this?
Like, this is not it. Like, there has to be more to it.
What's
Like, they have, and I was so in my mind, I'm like, all right. So your mind, you think that all those things you see in movie, like, oh, you think it's every time you do it, you will get there. You think you could tell that she has so much expectation. What brought those expectations in your head? The kind of content, the kind of things you've been exposed to. And sometimes we cannot help it because it's right there in our faces, okay? But that's why we need videos like this to correct those mindsets, because it's going to cause a permanent damage. You enter into marriage now, you expect your husband to be elephants, an innocent brother that you met in church. Now you expect him to be taken to Jerusalem every now and then.
For some of us, we have to do a lot of unlearning.
Yeah.
And we are still doing some unlearning.
And I don't even want us to come across as maybe these people that are holy and stuff. Trust me, we have been through, and we are not even half as holy as anybody. Don't even think that, because we have been through. Everyone has their own journey that they have moved to. You understand?
There's a lot of unlearning to do, because I'm speaking for people who have already been exposed to information, and now they are wondering that what do they do?
Yeah.
There's a lot of unlearning to do. There is a lot of relearning to do. So you have to understand that a lot of the information there is I don't know, it's just there to glorify the physical act in itself, and is to create certain impression different from what it should be. So when you start to think about sexual relations in that wise, there will always be a problem, because the disconnect is, I don't know, maybe you can call it, I don't know if it is just a question of entertainment value, like, just the same way
it's monetary. See, sex sells. That's the basic thing. People do it to get money, to get views, and people will say anything and do anything for views and likes and whatever right now to be able to cash out online. You understand? So they will just put content out there for their monetary and their selfish reasons, not necessarily to help you. So you need to actually look for content that are there to help you, because I know, especially for women that are born in this generation or are born in this parts of the world that we almost don't know anything. A lady was in my DM the other day, and literally she literally does not know. And I'm not surprised, because even me, I was over 20 before I knew that there's a difference between where the urine comes and where the thing goes. We don't know, because we don't, number one, we don't look at ourselves. I said it in my very first video. We don't know how our body functions. We don't know. You understand? But imagine a lady almost in her 30s trying to figure out, do you mean that where the urine comes, where it goes is different? That's to tell you how the level of unawareness we have, even when it comes to the biological function of our body. Because when it comes to anything that has to do with sex, we don't want to associate ourselves with it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to hear it, because, and I don't blame you, because the information that are out there, you should not even be listening to it in the first place. You understand? So, but when you have healthy information that will help you to understand your body, understand how to, be with your partner in the way it is supposed to be, those are the information that you should be, trying to watch or listen to or whatever, not necessarily the ones that will tell you how to wind up your body and how to, that you will get there, and it's not like that. Because trust me, it's not like that. If you go to the comment section of some of the videos I've done in this series, and even the very first video I did, I brought all of you to my channel, or most of you to my channel. If you see some of the comments of married people, they'll be telling you, like, literally, I thought I was in the video for people that are just about to get married, or that people that have married for years will tell you that, Victoria, or they literally say it in the comment that what you are saying is true, and I don't know why people don't talk about this. It is the truth. Many people went to marriage with the expectations that, can you say this thing, say, and yes, there'll be moments like that it will be like, hey, you will get to the point you've never gotten to in terms of, enjoyment and whatever. You will get there, and there'll be multiple times like that. But the method and the idea that, I don't understand, like they choke you, hold your hands, start to inflict pain on you, and all of those. You think that is what enjoyment is?
I just wanted to chip it in. I think, like most things, psychology of things are not something that we exactly do as Christians. We don't. We depend on the Spirit, which is what we should do.
Yeah.
But it made us fail abjectly in understand the psychology of many things. There is a psychology of sex that is informed by previous experiences, which may be good or bad, and it can affect you just the same way that in dealing with a partner, your communication to your partner, the way you show love, the way you demonstrate affection, your commitment, there's a psychology that powers it. So that's why it's not uncommon for people who have gone through certain kind of experience to replicate it as much as they hated those experiences. So that's why you'd see a child who hated what the father was doing to the mother and still do the same thing to his wife. Because there is a psychology to it that the person needs to deal with before he can be a better version. So it's the same way with aspect of sexuality, sex, and all that.
You're actually planning a collaboration with a rape survivor. I mean, I know, see, if we are being honest, if we are being sincerely honest, you have that one friend. Everybody has that one friend that has been sexually molested or assaulted, whether as a child, whether as an adult. It is sad, but it is the sad reality. And this thing has a way of messing up with our mind when we get married. You will see women that they don't even have any sex drive. Why? Because of some of the trauma they've been through as a child.
So the psychology that I was talking about does not even have to do with only people who have negative experiences. It involves people who are addicted to some kind of X-rated materials. So what creates that kind of disconnect that they can't relate with their partner as normally as they should is based on the psychological damage that those information had supplied to them. So they start to see it only that if it is not this thing that I have known or I've read or I've seen, then it is nothing. So there's that psychological aspect. So, and I also think that for in instances where either party had been exposed and had indulged before they got married, in which case one party is knowledgeable, the other party is not. there's a lot of unlearning and relearning to do.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if whether male or female, when you are experienced that way, there's the tendency to expect the same thing you've been used to for someone who is just finding their feet. It's like,
and that's a problem.
You're going to set yourself up for what do you call it, for
disaster.
a heartbreak or whatever. You're going to be surprised abysmally if you're not careful, because very hardly is it that people who had no experience, we have the same skill set, understanding, knowledge,
they want to get
technique,
that they sell for market.
That someone who has over 10 years experience before maybe they give their life to Christ, or even if it's 3 years experience. I mean, you understand what I'm saying? So that there's that part.
The energy
too
is going to be different.
So that's why maybe some ladies are expecting the guy to, a young brother that has been in church all his life, and nobody even taught him about what he needs to know. The young brother, you now expect the young brother to go for duration that your ex
Agbero boyfriend,
who was even taking drugs or enhancements in order to perform to that level. And the same for a guy that has been used to all those kind of things. And then I expect that
your wife to
a
be
young
like
lady
that.
who has not had experience will just suddenly, have the skill set, all the things that used to make you go crazy. Then you think it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's not. And that's even if your partner is
willing to even
would be, in that way, because I say that it's like normal communication, only that it's non-verbal. It's normal communication, like the way you're used to talking to people, the way you think you're like, you have to find a different ways to talk to your partner in a way the partner will relate to it, and it might involve you learning something different altogether from what you used to know. So that,
because it is different for everybody. No matter how expert you are with women, Kiniko, every woman is different. The G-spot on every woman is different. It's not the same place. If you don't know what G-spot is, go and Google. Okay.
Don't go and Google. You don't need to know it yet.
If you don't need to know it yet, unless you want to get married very soon.
So they are,
but they have don't even go and Google. Let me tell you, there are sensitive spots. That's what it means. Sensitive spots in a woman's body. All right. So a woman's one might be the mouth, another person might be back of the ear, another person might be somewhere else. You understand? So basically, no woman is the same. So if you've been all your life, you've been dating women that their own is on their head or their hair, and then you get married to someone that the own is on his toe. You understand? That's extreme, but I'm just saying.
No, it's not. G-spot is located in one position.
Erogenous
zones are in different areas.
I said it, I don't know.
So G-spot is located in one particular position, but the erogenous zones for people
about that
are in different places. Some people don't even know that they are sensitive in a particular spot until either their partner finds out for them or all those kind of things. So it happens that way, that you don't know that this place you're particularly sensitive to. It's in the course of exploration. That's,
you realize that.
This place makes this, so that's where the part where both of you have to learn comes in. So
I hope we're able to answer most of your question, the guy who asked, and anyone who might be having this concerns. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. If you have yet to subscribe to Truth and Tales podcast on YouTube, please make sure you go there and subscribe. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. Leave a thumbs up on this video, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Thank you so much, babe, for being on the show. I love you.
Thank you for having. I hope you remove that one.
Of course. All right, guys, have a lovely week. Okay, bye.
Bye.